Hello and Croiso. Hello my friends and welcome back to my painting channel, and in this video I'm going to be painting a small selection of kobolds. These are these really cool little dragon folk, and these miniatures are from Warp Miniatures. So these have been 3D printed by me at home, and these are from the kobold set that you can buy from Warp Miniatures on the myminifactory webpage and things like that. So I have two that I've painted here as a quick example. We have this one riding his ferret, and then the other one with a little spear just over on the side. And what we're going to do is we're going to show you kind of how to paint your kobolds using this really nice light vibrant sort of turquoisey blue color and create this great looking snowbold effect. So creating these kobolds that live out in the snow, a nice little character touch and something that would work really great for like D&D and things like that. So yeah, we've got these primed using a nice dark brown color. This is giving us a really good base color and showing really nicely on camera that these have been primed nice and evenly as well. And we're going to start with a deep azure. So we're going to use a few different paints in this video, and we're going to use some of these Army Painter sort of Fanatics painter paint fanatic range, and we're going to start with this deep azure, which has a really nice vibrant color straight off the bat. It's also got a great coverage as well to this, so this is going to give us a really great base color. Now I'm just going to cover all of the skin using this. I don't need to be too precise or too exact with this to begin with, because any mistakes we're going to tidy up as we go along. From there then we're going to use an onyx skin. This is going to be used as a nice base colour for that long halberd. And the great idea with these little kobolds and the character that has been designed with them is really fun. You can see the halberd is pretty much just a sword that has been tied with rope onto a very long stick, and it's creating a great level of character. I really love the models, and I love the style and the character that has been designed with these, and this particular one having two kobolds sort of one on top of each other to create this kind of big guy look is really fun and really cheerful and friendly. It's really cool. So once we've done that, we're then going to use a cobalt metal. So this is a brand new metallic range. This is a brand new color for the channel as well. This is a really nice color. So this has a silvery sort of tinge, but it does also have a slight hint of blue to it as well, which is going to add to that sort of cold, cool colors that we're using for our snowballs, for these sort of snow colors. This is giving us a really good sort of blue skin tone with the added sort of cool, cold, sort of cobalty color on the metallics as well, just like so. So I'm going to paint all of the metallics like that, the sword, the helmet, the armor, and all these little bits. Once that's done, then we're going to use a light earth. This is from the AK Interactive range. This is a channel favorite, so this is a color that I do use quite often. If you've used to watching the videos that I've posted, then this will be a paint that you will be quite familiar with. This is very similar to a sort of Xandri dust kind of color from Citadel, although there are differences. This one is a little bit lighter, a little bit paler, and creates a little bit more of a, as it says, a light earthy sort of tone rather than a sandy tone. But again, if you don't have this paint, Xandri dust is also a good alternative. Now I'm just going to paint this on his little tabard down the front and just around the rope that's holding this sword onto the pole. Once that's done, then I'm going to use a Mayhem Red. So this is from Scale Color. This is a Scale 75 paint. I really love using Scale 75 paints because they wet blend and blend together in such a nice even fashion that it creates really nice highlights. If you haven't tried Scale 75 paints, they're very much worth having a go. They're very much worth trying as well. As you'll know with the channel, I don't get any sort of commissions or anything like that when I paint. I'm just a guy that enjoys painting models, so I paint the models that I enjoy painting and I share them with you guys here. This means that I'm completely impartial when it comes to paints. I'm not telling you which paints I like to use because the companies are paying me. I'm not telling you because I gain commissions or money. I'm telling you literally because these are the paints that I've used to create this particular paint style. So it's up to you guys if you want to try them out. I would always recommend trying loads of different paints from loads of different paint brands and seeing which ones you particularly prefer. So once the red is done in all of the mouth and we've done all of those tongues, we're then going to use a Great Hall Grey, again another new colour, and we're going to paint all of those claws and all of those teeth just to bring the light sort of tone and that light sort of colour just back into the model as well. These are going to be very, very vibrant models, they're going to be very colourful and full of character, and I'm also going to take my time to just put this Great Hall Grey across all of those little tabs and all those little scales and things just across the back on the tail as well. So I'm going to try to be careful not to get this onto the blue. Again, like I say, it doesn't matter too much if you do make mistakes, because at this stage it is still quite easy to repair or replace the colour anyway. So don't be too disheartened if you make a little mistake. Then we're going to use a shade or a wash, depending on which wordage you use, and we're going to use a blue tone. So going with the army painter, I'm going to use a blue tone, and I'm going to cover this on the metallics, the skin, and all of those little areas as well. So it doesn't matter if this goes in the mouth. Again, this is adding to that sort of cool, cold sort of colour tone and that cool sort of colour texture. Again, adding a little bit more blue and cool tone to the metallics as well. And again, with those white areas as well, this is going to tie those sort of grey sort of patches and scales just on the tail. This is going to tie those into the blue in a really, really nice, even fashion. This is going to give us a very, very nice sort of subtle blend, and it's going to tie those colours together very, very, very nicely. What I'm not going to cover with this is things like the handle of the halberd and the rope. For those, we're going to use a darker tone as well, so we're going to tie those in with a bit more of an earthy colour rather than the blue. But as you can see, the blue is doing some really, really great work, especially on things like the skin tone and the metallics as well. Then once that's dry, I'm going to use an ocean blue. So this is from the Scale 70. This is from the AK Interactive range, rather. See, I'm getting my paints mixed up myself. And this one I'm just going to use to paint just down the shield. This is a really nice flat matte sort of blue sort of tone. So this is going to give us a really great blue colour that we can cover straight down the front of the shield here. And what we're going to do is we're going to paint a little bit of a banding or a branding. We're going to paint a little bit of colour to the shield, which is going to create a little bit of a cool looking very unique shield. So once we've used that ocean blue, we're then going to use an off-white colour, and then using sort of the middle of the shield, as you can see, thinking of the shield like a cross, we're just going to paint down from the centre, just like so. And this is going to create almost like these chevrons. So we're going to paint these arrows painting up the shield, going to create these chevrons. So just by freehand, we're just going to drag the brush down using the very tip of the brush, and as you can see, just creating this instant looking chevron. Now the great thing by using this off-white on top of that ocean blue is that it immediately creates an impact. You get this really great, amazing looking sort of standout colour, which is a really great tone because you've got this very vibrant light white standing off this blue tone, and it creates, as I say, this immediate look. Now the reason why I'm painting chevrons on this isn't because I think kobolds or snowbolds would have chevrons or anything like that. To be fair, I don't think kobolds would be the type of creatures to have a full army and a full regiment and things along those lines, but more I believe, or I think with this character, this is a shield that has been something that they have picked up along the way. So this is a scavenged shield, so this would have been chevrons or would have been colours or a shield that had been painted and used by a different sort of unit of a different military, and they've just come across it as they do. From there then we're going to use the dark tone. So this is what I was talking about by using a bit of a darker, a bit more earthy tone to bring other colours together. So I'm placing that across the shield, I'm also placing that across the rope and the wood, and then I'm also going to place that on top of the metal as well. And the reason why I'm placing it on top of the metal, despite the fact that the metal has had the blue on there, is literally just to darken that metal down again and get some of those real high level contrasts in all of those dents and bumps and scratches and things like that on the metal as well. The great thing with these models and the sculpts is there's a lot of detail, especially across the metal, and this is going to give us the opportunity to really sort of darken all of those bits inside, so the dents, the scratches. This is really going to bring all of those out on the model as well. So I'm going to try to be very careful not to get this onto the blue, and just make sure that I cover all of those areas without getting this on any of those areas of the blue. Again, it's something that you can fix, but at this stage we don't want to make too many mistakes. We want to try to keep it as tidy and as tight as possible. Once that's done, then we're going to do a little bit of dry brushing. So I don't do dry brushing on the channel often enough, so we're going to do a little bit of dry brushing with these kobolds slash snowbolds, and we're going to go back to that cobalt metal, and we're just going to gently dry brush this up. The reason why I'm using the dry brushing effect first is because dry brushing can sometimes be a messy effect, so it is always good to use your dry brushing first, because if you make mistakes with your dry brushing, it becomes then something that is easier to fix later. Whereas if you were to spend a lot of time fixing and building up all of your skin and then use the dry brushing and you get some of that on the skin, then it becomes a little bit more of a pain to fix. So that's why we're doing it this way. Once that bit is done, then we're going to use a gunmetal. This one is from Vallejo, so this one is a nice sort of in-between colour. Think of this one like a lead belcher from Citadel. This is a great in-between mid-tone silver, and this is going to add to bring that colour back up. So this is going to create a little bit more of a sheen and a little bit more of a shine onto those metallics and onto the metal areas of the model. So things like the halberd, the tip, and of course the helmet and his breastplate as well. Again, we stick in with the same technique. We're just dry brushing this across and just picking out where we want those highlights to be. Once all of those metals are done, we're then going to go back to using our deep azure, and we're going to go back to painting all of that skin. Now, this is where it becomes a little bit more fiddly and a little bit more time consuming. This is the area of the model where we are going to spend most of our time, and this is where we're going to really slowly pick out all of those details. And what we're going to do is just gently build all of that colour back up. So we're going to pick out all of those areas, all of those raised areas, as you can see, just painting across all of the arms, the muscle tone, the face, the ears, the nose, the mouth, the lips, the chin, all of these things, and we're just going to slowly build all of that character back up. As I said, this is the most time-consuming part, but this is the area that you're going to notice with the models. Mostly is the skin. Most of the time, the skin of a model is something that you notice quite heavily, and it's something that you notice quite often. So it's worth spending just a little bit extra time trying to make sure that the skin looks just about right, because that's an area that you're always going to look back on and think, yep, I'm very proud of how good that skin looks. It's very interesting painting blue skin tones for a change, especially blue skin tones that are so bright and vibrant. Is very different and very unique. So once we've used that deep azure, we're then going to use a turquoise siren. Again, another one of the new War Paints Fanatic range from the Army Painter. And again, using a little bit of water just to thin these paints down slightly. We're now going to gently, slowly pick out all of the areas we want the highlights to be. So we want to pick out all of those areas that we think the light is going to be catching. So across the nose area, as you can see, just around the mouth here, the sort of lips area, of course across the top of the ears, and all of those muscle tones and definitions. So again, as you can see, it is still the area that is the most time consuming, but it is very much worth it, because as we slowly go around the miniature and slowly pick out all of the areas that the light is catching, and as we build this highlight up, we're really going to build that depth and vibrancy, and it's very much going to be worth your time. As you can see, all of those highlights are really starting to take effect straight away as well, and it's creating that real great contrast. Because ultimately that's what we want to do when we paint, is we want to create a nice contrast between the light colours and the dark colours. We don't want things to be too flat or mundane. We really want to push the extremes. We're then also going to use a aquamarine colour. So this is now going to be the extreme highlight. So talking about those contrasts, this is going to have the highest level of highlight. And again, we're going to be a little bit more sparing with this. We're just going to slowly pick out those areas that we really want the light to be catching on the model. As you can see, again, just around the nose, around the mouth area, areas that we really think the light is going to be catching, just across the top of the ear. And again, the way that I normally paint on the channel, if you've been here before, using those brush strokes as well to create texture, to create the area or illusion of light source, that always adds to the definition and the depth of the miniature as well. So don't be afraid of your brush strokes. Not everything has to be the sickest blend on the planet. Not everything has to be blended to within an inch of its life. Sometimes those brush strokes are your friends. So use those brush strokes in sort of the most sparing way as possible, in the most sort of creative way as possible, because that will create a real level of character on your model as well. So that is the most time-consuming part done. We've done all of our skin and we're really happy. Now we're going to move back onto the ocean blue, and this time now we're going to focus a little bit more on the shield. And what we're going to do, just using the tip of the brush, we're just going to build a little bit of that colour back up. And again, this is nice and thin, so we've added a little bit of water just to allow this to blend onto the shield quite nicely. And that's all I'm going to do, is just slowly build that contrast back up. As you can see, just using the tip of my brush, I'm using a mixture of different brush strokes. So we're not only just using brush strokes, I'm also using a little stippling and a little dabbing technique as well, just to stipple some of the paint on, and again create a little bit of texture and a little bit of depth as well. Once that bit is done, we are going to use a pastel blue. So this is a very, very light blue. If you don't have a pastel blue, you could always use the same aquamarine color we used for the highlights of the skin. And literally all I'm doing here is using the very, very edge of the brush, just to edge highlight the extreme areas of the shield. So just around the very edge and just a little bit down on these little scrapes as well. That's adding depth to the shield, because that's creating the illusion that the shield has sort of multiple layers of paint on it, and it also creates the illusion that those scratches in the paint have really sort of cut through the shield, just like so. Once all of those blue bits have dried down, we're then going to go back to the off-white colour that we used for those chevrons, and we're going to build the colour and the highlight of those chevrons back up again. So doing the same thing as what we've just done with the ocean blue, just using a mixture of brush strokes and stippling effects, and you can really see the depth on this shield starting to show through now as well. This is going to give us a little bit more of that highlight, and again give us a focus point on the miniature as well, because when we look at our model, we're going to take a look at this and think, wow, this is really cool. Not only is the skin color really bright, but how cool does that shield really look? And there we go. Don't have to be too perfect or too careful. We're going to add a little bit of weather into it as well as we go, and we're really going to create some depth to the shield. If you'd like, let me know in the comment section. I do have a group of shields lined up, ready to do a video all about painting shields and adding sort of different motifs and things like that onto the shields. So let me know in the comment section just below if you'd like to see that one, and I'll get right on it for you. So then we're going to go back to the light earth, and we're going to rebuild all of the colours just around that tabard, and of course on the rope that's holding the halberd together. I love saying that, the rope that's holding the halberd together. It's not a sentence that you'd normally expect to say, but actually with this kind of character and these kinds of characters, they're so much fun and they're so vibrant that it works so well. Again, if you've been to the channel before, from that light earth, the natural step up then is going to be this vampiric flesh, and this is going to give us a real nice highlight onto those areas of the rope and the tabard again, and this is going to allow us to build up that tone and again that contrast between the light and dark. And as you can see, I'm just picking out the edges of the tabard where I think the light would catch, and then we're also going to paint this just on areas of the rope that is holding the halberd together. Again, there's that sentence that I never thought I'd say once. We're saying it multiple times, and yes, we're just picking out some of those areas, as you can see, some of those highlights, and just building that nicely, just like so. Just being careful now not to get the highlight into any of those recess points, and just picking out all of the raised areas just like this. Again, it's a very good idea to use the very tip of your brush, and this is a size 0 or size 1. I always use size 0 or size 1 paint brushes, and the very tip of the brushes on those are so precise and so specific that you get a really good level of control, especially for painting this size of miniature as well. So there we go, we've done most of the difficult bits. Now we're going to have some fun with some weathering. We're going to go to the AK Interactive Streaking Grime. I have a video on my channel specifically about this, and this stuff is fantastic. This stuff is really good. As you can see, I'm just using a really old and broken brush, and I've wiped all of the excess of this off, so this is just giving me a very small amount on the brush. And what I'm doing then is I'm just using a very light dabbing and stippling motion just to create the illusion and the element of dirt and grime and things like that. That's going just around a little bit of the shield, just around a little bit of the armor, and again this is adding to that illusion and adding to the depth of making these snowbolds look like they have discovered this armor while they were out and about, and they've claimed it as their own. So the armor is beaten, it is worn, it is not theirs, and then that adds adds to that depth on that character. So yeah, just add in some of this dark streaking grime. This streaking grime, by the way, is absolutely fantastic for this sort of thing. It is so simple to create grime and sort of dirt, and to add that extra depth and element to your miniatures is so simple. It can't get any easier than what I've just shown you, which is just a dabbing motion, just a broken old brush, and it creates an incredible level of character. We're then going to go on to the Great Hall Grey, and as you can see, our character is getting there. He's very close to getting there. He's starting to look very deep, starting to look quite complete. But this time, we're just going to pick out all of those teeth again, and then we're going to pick out all of those claws and nails again. And again, this is just creating another level of depth. This is a much lighter colour, so against all of those areas where we've got the darker points in the recesses, the depth that we've got out of the skin, things like that, this is really going to stand off. We're then going to use a Baal Crimson. This is a lighter colour from the Scale 75 range, so this is a lighter red tone, and we're just going to slowly pick out the tongues and just allow those tongues and the inside of the mouths to have just the same level of depth and quality that we've provided on the skin, just to give us a little bit more character, a little bit more tone as well. This red also is going to stand off on all of that blue, because all of those blues are deep, dark sort of blue tones. They are sort of cool tones and cold tones, whereas then we have this red sort of warm colour in their mouths as well. I'm then going to use a purple wash, and this is a very specific wash. I'm just adding a very small amount of this purple wash into the creases of the ears, so the creases of their ears, and just underneath their tails as well, just like so. And again, that's all just about the balance of depth, so that's just about creating a little bit of a purple tone and a purple undertone to them. And then we're going to use a Bootstrap Brown. So this Bootstrap Brown is, again, another one of the Army Painter new ranges. And then I'm just going to gently add this across the stick that's holding the halberd together. So we're just going to add this onto the stick, and this is going to allow us to really pick out all of those details, because the stick has a lot of sort of creases and crevices and things like that. So this is allowing us to highlight that as we go. And then we have a Paratrooper Tarn, and this is going to be our final highlight, and we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to gently pick out those areas. There we go, just like so. As you can see, where all of that stick and all of the branch and all of those sort of weathered areas are just going to show through. And again, now you could be very sparing with this, because this is going to be a highlight, and this will create for you the final stage. And there you go. All in all, that is how you paint a snowbold. So these are the 3D printed snowbolts or kobolds that I had purchased from Warp Miniatures, a fantastic sculptor with a plethora of amazing characters and fantastic things that you can use for Dungeons & Dragons. If you have a 3D printer and you haven't printed Warp Miniatures miniatures yet, then I would very much recommend you go and check them out. They are incredible. As always, my friends, thank you so much for your patience and waiting. I know it's been a little while since my last video, but I do appreciate all of your patience and time. Let me know, as always, in the comment section below what you think of my paintings. I love to hear from you. I love to talk to you. I cannot wait to converse with you once again. So let me know what you think. Tell me, what is your favorite bit? Did you like the color contrasts and things like that? And as always, I will see you very soon. Take care of yourselves, my friends. I will see you all again. Bye now.